Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome back to When Fantasy Meets Reality. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to tell y'all, listen to me. Now, Robert, he tripping. He has a decision to make. He has to figure out if he's going to go on and push this thing and go on through with this, or if he's going to just go on and let him reinstate the life sentence with parole and go on back up to the penitentiary. So his lawyer's in the back talking to him. So he starts to tell Robert, he said, look, we can't prove that your wife left the house. We can't prove that the truck, you know what I'm saying, had left the house and somebody had stolen it. We can't prove that the woman that you were seeing had been at the house earlier that night. She refuses to testify. She don't want nothing to do with it because she thinks that you did this. And the lawyer actually said, are you trying to imply that she did it? He said, I'm just trying to create reasonable doubt. His lawyer asked him again, looking him dead in his eye. He said, are you trying to point the finger at her? And Robert told him, he said, you're my lawyer. I'm trying to point the finger away from me. So that is when his lawyer, for the first time, looked at him and he said, Robert, he said, I wish you the best on everything. But if we put him on the stand, this guy's going to testify that you tried to pay him to get the witness that testified the first time against you to change his story. What do you think they're going to do? And Robert looked at him and said, so I'm supposed to just give up and die in prison? He said, Robert, he said, I don't want you or anybody else to have to die in prison. But I cannot go up in this courtroom knowing what I'm thinking right now and lie about what's going on. He said, you're my client. I'm going to defend you to the best of my ability, whether you did it or not. He said, but more important than that, you have to come to terms with what you've done. Because if you don't, he said, you're not going to make it through this. So Robert looked at him, tears welling up in his eyes. He said, I don't want to die in prison. So his lawyer, sensing that Robert was gonna, you know what I'm saying, continue to get emotional about this, he stood up, put the file back into the briefcase, closed his briefcase. He said, look, I'm going to go talk to the DA and I'm going to see what we can work out. So Robert, in one last attempt, he said, man, see if he'll give me something less than a life sentence. And the lawyer, knowing that that's not going to happen, said to him, I'm going to see what I can do. See, at this point, his goal is to get out of that room. Because there's nothing worse than a guy that's slipping, that's losing it, to feel like you've turned it on him too. So he goes out there and he said, I'll be back in a few minutes. So he leaves and he goes and tells the DA that there's not going to be a trial today. He says he's going to take the deal and just reinstate the life sentence. He said, but we got to give him a few minutes back there. He's not thinking rational. So the DA says, well, we'll put the resentencing thing off, or reinstating of the sentence off, you know what I'm saying, and send him back to the prison. The lawyer says, that's a bet. Send him back. Because he was going to cut ties with him. He didn't want to have nothing else to do with him. He had started to become afraid of him. So they come in and they tell Robert it's time to go back to the jail, to the prison, and they're going to be shipping him back and they're going to postpone his date. So he walks by and he sees the DA and his lawyer talking, and he looks at him and he shows him his teeth. He's angry. But he doesn't say anything because he wants to hold on to that one last bit of hope that something's going to happen. So he gets back to the prison and he goes to talk to this other old head that he's familiar with. And when he's talking to the old head, he said, man, I thought all I had to do was create reasonable doubt. point at somebody else. Create a scenario so that they would see that it could have been somebody else. So his partner, I'm sitting right there, his partner said, straight direct to him, said, look, yeah, it's one thing when you're trying to create reasonable doubt, when there is reasonable doubt. He said, but you did that. He said, but that's not the point. The law is built on reasonable doubt. Now I'm sitting and I'm listening and I'm saying, okay, wait a minute. I'm witnessing somebody lose their mind in slow motion. Losing it. He became so desperate to get out. Because once he started to add up all of the years and how old he would be when he got out, he just couldn't imagine that. He couldn't wrap his head around that. And see, that's what a lot of people out there that's throwing rocks at the penitentiary do. You can't see that what you're doing is going to result in you being put in a cage. And then when you get put in the cage, you can't see that you're in a cage. You tell yourself that it's something else, and you act a different way. You act this way and act that way, and you continue to do things that are not allowing you to connect to reality. You don't want to see it. So you smoke, you drink, you do all of these different types of things so you can numb yourself to the reality of the situation. And I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. I totally get it. But what I'm here to say today to you is this. You cannot run from yourself. You cannot run from the reality of the situation that you created. Nobody is coming to save you. That is not how the system works. So what do you do about that? Well, I'm going to be straight to it. This is what you do. If you cannot go into a situation with your eyes wide open and understand, if you do A, B, and C, meaning sell drugs, kidnap somebody, rob somebody, rape somebody, this, and that, and understanding that it's not a matter in most situations that if you get caught, it's when you get caught. See, Hollywood and people in the streets like to glorify, you know what I'm saying, such and such got away with this, such and such got away with that. Do the math. Most people ain't getting away with nothing. And those that are getting away with it are snitching. And that day is coming as well. And whether they're snitching or not is irrelevant. The point is, leave it alone. And I know that's hard for some of y'all. I know it. I know people in here that just cannot face reality. But if you cannot face reality when you're free, meaning get a job, start a business, go to school, do something that's not going to be harmful to you or the people that you love. If you can't face reality out there, listen to me. You're not going to be able to face reality in here. You're going to make up stuff to get up every day. You're going to lie to yourself and everybody around you so that you can give your life purpose, give your life meaning, because you don't want to accept that you have thrown it all away. You don't want to accept that. But one thing I realized, until I accepted complete and full responsibility for what I had done, it wasn't until I did that that I was able to see another way to give my life meaning under these circumstances. And I'm suggesting to you not to get to this point before you have to realize that you are somebody. Don't put yourself in a situation like that. Always understand one thing about yourself, that you're special. You're special. And you deserve better than the streets can give you. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.